Hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Finally, something happened. Finally, I think this is bogus. I think it's petty. I don't think this is enough. It's a slap on the wrist. It looks like Alyssa Thomas was suspended. Finally. But this has been the epicenter of the sports world conversation today, has been this entire situation. Fist to throat, all types of stuff. We got to get into it. Now, Colin Cowherd absolutely blasted the WNBA today. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I mean, it's either incompetence or intentional. Both are embarrassing. The WNBA, they just keep driving into a wall at full speed with Caitlin Clark. They now have a commemorative poster of 30 years of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's not on it. And it's not just like an ode to the veterans that started the league. Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are on it. And Caitlin Clark's not. You guys, when she broke into the league, you moved her road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans. You were flying the last 6 rows of Southwest Airlines until she made such an impact, you pivoted to private jets. And she's not on the 30-year poster. But Paige Beckers and Angel Reese are. What? I mean, recently there were TV games. Hers got double the rating of Asia Wilson, the best player in the league, the 3-time champ and the 4-time MVP. Double the rating. This is a paranoid, weird, insular league. And everybody, older golfers were a little annoyed and irritated when young Tiger Woods got all the love and all the coverage. But about, a couple of months later, they went like, hey, wait, the purses have gone up. We're all getting richer. And they got over it. They got over the Tiger thing pretty quickly. WNBA can't get over this. And people are very critical of commissioners. I'm not. I think Goodell's A++. I think Rob Manfred's been on a 3-4 year heater, and Adam Silver got $77 billion in the TV deal. Guy's brilliant. But Cathy Engelbert, what are you doing? I mean, you're not heavily promoting her to the Olympics. I mean, you should have been totally outraged for the game. You can't put her on the 30-year poster. The officiating's awful and way too physical. Way too physical. The NBA allows physicality in the finals when the season's at the very end. But they want to keep their players healthy for the regular season and early rounds of the playoffs. Why hurt your content? Adam Silver in the league now. You get to the finals, that's a man's game. Wemby, good luck. WNBA regular season is officiated like UFC. There's no eye gouging, but almost everything else. So, and she didn't have great communications with players, according to players. So last night, Caitlin Clark, there's a hand to her throat. Nothing's called. Here was Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, on the officiating.
They were so egregious. I mean, the fist in the throat is crazy. It's crazy. It's dangerous. The landing spot, when you went to review it, and she still comes down on top of another foot, like, I don't know. Because to me, that's like a do-over on a test. How do you screw it up again? And it's just, when you have these things continue to happen time and time again, eventually it gets frustrating. But I thought those were just more egregious.
I've been lucky. I've worked at NBC, ESPN, and Fox. I've had great management, mostly. 35 years in this business, the one thing I look for that's a problem with management, if you let little problems fester and become big problems, or you can't solve pretty easy stuff, that's the WNBA's commissioner and the WNBA product. The officiating's horrible. Caitlin Clark's too often a target. I mean, the 30-year poster is just icing on the cake. You can't figure out a way to put your most popular player on it. If the NFL came out with a 30-year poster today to commemorate the last 30 years, and they did it a few years ago, Yes, they'd have, Brady and Manning and Favre. I can guarantee you they'd have Mahomes on it 3 years ago. And it's just like, what are we doing here? It's not that complicated.
When I watched everything that unfolded, one thought kept coming back to me over and over again. Somebody has to be held accountable. Fans have reached the point where they aren't just questioning the officiating anymore. They're questioning the leadership of the entire league. That's why so many people are calling out Cathy Engelbert and wondering why the WNBA continues to stay silent whenever another controversy involving Caitlin Clark takes over the conversation. What's honestly just as frustrating isn't only what happens during the games, it's what happens afterward. Every single time there's a questionable play involving Caitlin Clark, there seems to be a group of people rushing to explain it away. Instead of asking whether the play crossed the line, the conversation immediately becomes about why Caitlin Clark somehow deserved it, or why everyone else is overreacting. We've heard every excuse imaginable. People say it was simply a basketball play. They say both players were fighting for the loose ball. They claim there was no malicious intent. But let's be honest for a second. Basketball is a physical game. Loose balls happen every single night. Players dive across the floor, bodies collide, and everyone fights for possession. That's part of the sport. But there is a major difference between aggressive basketball and dangerous contact. Anyone who has played competitive basketball knows that when you're scrambling for a loose ball, your instinct isn't to place a closed fist or unnecessary force around another player's upper body or neck area. Your instinct is to secure the basketball. That's what every coach teaches from youth basketball all the way to the professional level. That's why so many fans looked at this play and immediately felt uncomfortable. They weren't reacting because Caitlin Clark was involved. They were reacting because the play itself simply didn't look right. What's even more surprising is watching certain people continue defending it no matter what the replay shows. Some fans have become so committed to opposing Caitlin Clark that they refuse to criticize anything that happens against her. It almost feels like she's judged by an entirely different standard than every other player in the league. If the exact same play happened to someone else, many of these same voices would probably be demanding suspensions, league investigations, and public statements. But because it's Caitlin Clark, suddenly everyone wants to explain why it isn't actually a problem. That's what frustrates so many basketball fans. Sports should never become about deciding who deserves protection based on whether you personally like them. Every player deserves the same standard. Every player deserves the same level of safety. Every player deserves consistent officiating. Instead, the conversation has become incredibly divided. People have started treating Caitlin Clark like she's somehow responsible for every debate surrounding the WNBA. If attendance increases, people argue about whether she deserves credit. If television ratings increase, people argue about someone else deserves the recognition. If controversy happens, somehow she ends up being blamed for that too. At some point, it stops being about basketball. That's the biggest disappointment. The WNBA has an incredible opportunity right now. Interest in the league has never been higher. More people are watching games, more people are discussing players, more media attention exists than ever before. Yet instead of allowing basketball to dominate the headlines, controversy continues stealing the spotlight. That's where many fans believe the league has made a mistake. The NBA has spent decades finding the balance between allowing physical basketball while still protecting its biggest stars. Officials don't eliminate contact, but they also recognize that unnecessary hits have consequences. There's a difference between hard competition and letting games spiral out of control. Many fans believe the WNBA needs to establish that same balance. No one wants every possession to end with a whistle. Basketball should remain physical. Rivalries make sports exciting. Tough defense is part of what makes great games memorable. But consistency matters. If clapping at an official results in a technical foul, then dangerous physical plays deserve equally serious attention. Fans simply want the rules applied consistently, regardless of the player involved. What makes the situation even stranger is how often Caitlin Clark becomes the center of every major league discussion. Whether it's officiating, whether it's media coverage, whether it's player rivalries, whether it's marketing, everything somehow circles back to Caitlin Clark. That raises a larger question. Why has one player become such a lightning rod for every conversation surrounding the league? Some people have built an entire narrative around her that goes far beyond basketball. Instead of viewing her as an elite player, they've turned her into a symbol representing everything they either love or dislike about the league's recent growth. That isn't healthy for anyone. Basketball fans should be debating shooting percentages, assists, defensive schemes, playoff races, and championship contenders. Instead, social media spends days arguing over hard fouls, officiating decisions, league statements, and player treatment. That's not sustainable. Another topic many fans continue bringing up involves the league's marketing decisions. Considering Caitlin Clark's enormous popularity, people naturally expect her to be featured prominently whenever the WNBA celebrates major milestones. So, whenever she's missing from certain promotional campaigns or league celebrations, questions immediately begin. Fans wonder why one of the biggest stars in women's basketball isn't consistently positioned front and center during important moments. Whether those decisions are intentional or not, they create even more controversy that could easily be avoided through clear communication. Ultimately, this entire situation feels less like a basketball debate and more like a public relations challenge that continues growing larger every week. The saddest point is that everyone loses. The players lose because their incredible talent gets overshadowed. The league loses because headlines focus on controversy instead of competition. And the fans lose because conversations become dominated by arguments instead of appreciation for the game itself. At the end of the day, people tune in because they love basketball. They want to watch great players compete at the highest level. They want rivalries that stay within the spirit of the game. They want stars protected without receiving special treatment. Most importantly, they want consistency. Whether you believe the officials handled this correctly or not, one thing is undeniable. The conversation is not going away anytime soon. I'd genuinely like to hear what you think. Do you believe the league has handled these situations properly? Do you think officiating has been consistent? Has the NBA done enough to protect its players while still allowing physical basketball? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many comments as I possibly can, and I'm always interested in hearing different perspectives. Whether you agree or disagree, respectful discussion is what makes sports communities great. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more coverage of the biggest stories surrounding Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and the WNBA, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos.